Hey, what's going on, Whodat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And on this edition, we're going to be talking a little bit about Alontae Taylor and how he possibly could be emerging into superstardom, the next best thing in the Saints secondary. It's time for the State of the Saints podcast.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, who that? Hey, what's going on, Whodat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. As you file in, I ask that you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, help the State of the Saints podcast to grow. And also, I want to give a special shout out to everybody in the chat right now. Those that were waiting, I apologize for the late start. I know I had a time that I wanted to get started, but tried to do some finishing touches for this episode. Speaking of podcasts and episodes, I got some news coming up. I'll get into that a little bit later about the State of the Saints podcast and what we're going to be doing going forward. Also, we're going to get into the topic, of course, of Saints OTAs wrapping up, going into mini camp. And that means that we're going to see some familiar faces come to the team, ones that weren't around. Players like Alvin Kamara and Tyrann Mathieu that weren't a part of the voluntary OTAs, but will be a part of the mandatory mini camp. We'll get into that. And we also talk about the quarterback battle. But let's go ahead and talk about the topic of conversation, at least for this edition, the one that's going to headline it. And that is cornerback Alontae Taylor. Now, Alontae Taylor has been with the New Orleans Saints. He's going into, I believe his fifth season here. He is a guy who is a really good player. Alontae Taylor has really evolved as a player in the Saints secondary. He is a guy that checks all the boxes. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's tall, but he's not, the biggest guy, but he plays with a level of physicality. He has really good cover skills. And one thing that I respect about Alontae Taylor was what happened to him over the last couple of years. A lot of cornerbacks who have to transition from the outside to the inside, they don't make that jump the way that Alontae Taylor did. And there were some issues and some problems and some growing pains for Alontae Taylor. And I can remember when Alontae Taylor stood in front of the media and basically said that this is something that he's not used to doing, playing in a slot. He just asking for people to give him, some time. He's gonna figure it out. He's gonna get better. And I have a lot of respect for a guy that will tell you where they are lacking, but they're not going to just take that line down. They're going to go and try to make themselves better. And Alontae Taylor was getting better. As a matter of fact, before all the injuries started to occur last season, you can say that Alontae Taylor was one of the bright spots in the secondary. And I honestly believe that if Alontae Taylor would have just stayed in the slot, wouldn't have so many issues in the secondary, I think that he probably would have had a possible all-pro year from the slot position. He was playing that well, but of course, all the injuries started to happen. He had to switch from the slot where he was starting to get comfortable, move back to the outside. I mean, when you get dialed in and you try to focus so much on the position that the team has given you, and then you have to go back to another position, it can be a little bit tough, especially when you're doing that from week 6 and then switching to week 7. But I have respect for Alontae Taylor, and I really honestly think that he is poised to have a really good season in the secondary. And the Saints are going to need Alontae Taylor to step up. He is going to have to be that leader that the Saints need him to be in the secondary. This is a relatively young secondary that the Saints have. We expect big things out of guys, like Kool-Aid McKinstry, Quincy Riley. We expect big things out of those guys, but Alontae Taylor is the seasoned veteran alongside guys like Tyrann Mathieu. Justin Reed is a veteran in his own right, but he is coming from another team. These are the players that, the Saints are going to have to rely on. Alontae Taylor is going to have to be big for the New Orleans Saints, but he had a really good practice. Some people are saying that it was his best practice in the Saints uniform, and that's what you want to hear. As a matter of fact, I believe that Alontae Taylor even said that he had to call his mama and tell her that this was probably the best practice that he ever had. So for him to pick up the phone and call mama, it has to be big. But look, man, I have respect once again for Alontae Taylor. I think that he is a really good player. I think that he's talented. I actually reached out to Alontae Taylor before. I think that I reached out to him to be a guest here on the State of the Saints podcast. I believe he thought that I was somebody else because I guess he thought I was like some other podcaster that was like extremely critical of him. I don't really honestly feel like I ever just threw him under the bus without, any type of justification. But if Alontae, if you're watching this, man, like go back and look at the archives, you'll see any guests that I've had on this show. I guarantee you they'll want to come back. We'd love to hear from you. Hopefully we can. But all I got to say is big things are on the horizon for Alontae Taylor. I think that he is going to have a good year as long as he can stay healthy and as long as the Saints secondary can stay intact where he doesn't have to move. I think the Saints are going to put him in a slot, and I think we're going to see big things coming for number one. But shouts out to everybody that has filed into the chat here today. I really do appreciate that. Shouts out to Jerry. Shouts out to Q. Shouts out to Whodat Records. Shout out to Inevitable. Shouts out to and so many others that are coming in here. Charlie, I really do appreciate it. If you're new to the State of the Saints podcast, it's very, very simple. All you have to do is put your comments in the chat, and we'll read them. All right, that's kind of how the show goes. But let me go ahead and get started with some of the comments here. We'll start with Jerry. It says, "You knew the sniper was ready." LOL. Let's see. I don't know what we're talking about there. Talking about when it comes to the sniper. Says, got me a desk and chair for my living room from my dad. Well, that's great, man. That's great. That's great that you actually got that. Let's see. Jake will lead us to the playoffs. Let's see. Jake will start working at State Farm Company. Oh man. Look, I know some people like that seems like that's somebody that's trolling. But at the end of the day, man, come on, man. Let's sometimes people just joke around and sometimes they play. Sometimes we don't need to like just exit them from the room. Let's see. Whodat TJ and Whodat Nation. Do you think this coaching staff will allow these players to play the positions they're used to playing? Look, I think that will be a start, Ryan. A lot of guys, they just want to get comfortable and be in familiar surroundings. I think that a lot of what the Saints have dealt with over the last couple of years and some things we have all kind of fell into the trap of is judging guys based on positions that they didn't play at any time. Like we think about guys like Telese Fuaga. Telese played right tackle throughout his college career. The Saints moved him to left tackle. Now it worked for him, but if it didn't, I think some people would be sitting up here calling this man a bust and calling him trash and all these other things. And I just think that the Saints defense, when it comes to Dennis Allen and some of the moves that some of these coaches have made over the last couple of years have not helped out these players. You cannot put a square peg into a round hole sometimes. You cannot expect a guy to be a fish out of water and then expect for him to be an all-pro and thrive as soon as you put him in that position. You can see a player any way you want to see a player, but if he's not comfortable and he's in unfamiliar territory, like, it's going to take him some time to develop. So as far as I'm concerned, I have a wait and see approach on a lot of these guys. I know we're throwing away guys like Isaiah Foskey, and we're talking about guys like Trevor Penning. Let's see what they can actually do in situations that kind of serve their skill set. And maybe, just maybe, if it doesn't work out, then we can really have a serious conversation about the Saints draft process. And are they doing right by these players by drafting them and basically causing these players 4 and 5 years of their career? Let's talk about that. But if it does work out, they start to make plays, they start to do things that are favorable, and they start to be contributors. I think that we can concede and say that maybe it was the New Orleans Saints organization that set these players back and not allow these players to live up to their full potential. Let's see. I think that start position is great for Alontae. He can be the key to the defense this year. Well, he got off to a great start. I know people remember we had 3 sacks like early in the season. I mean, he was coming off the blitz. The Saints were utilizing him really well. The game plan was well, but that's when you had all hands on deck. But then all of a sudden he gets hurt, and the next thing you know, like, nobody is around here, feeling sorry for the Saints. Like, we got to figure this thing out. So we're going to go ahead and put you on the outside because you're the most dependable guy on the outside that we have, instead of going with young guys like Rico Payton or something like that you're not too sure about. I really like to add Asante if that neck check out positive. Yeah, Asante Samuel would be a great addition to the team. We know that Brandon Staley has some familiarity with him when it comes to him being a part of the Chargers. He actually drafted Asante Samuel Jr. coming out of college. And, I think that, Asante Samuel would be a good fit for the New Orleans Saints. He definitely would add some depth and some veteran experience to the team. But, you got to make sure that he is 100%. You got to make sure that he is, going to be able to hold up the entire season. And also, Asante Samuel has to do right by Asante Samuel. You got to make sure that your health is intact, man. You don't want to be out there dealing with a neck injury. I mean, when you're dealing with a neck injury, I mean, that's serious stuff right there. I mean, when it came to Chase Young, he had a neck issue, but it was something that the Saints felt he can bounce back from. I don't know what the difference is in a neck injury that Chase Young dealt with versus what Asante Samuel dealt with. But at the end of the day, like, you got to be able to take care of yourself. And, Saints got to do the right thing by the organization by not just going out here getting a guy, knowing that more than likely his health is going to be a concern. And Asante Samuels can't push the issue either. He got to be smart because, you got a long life to live. Football doesn't last very long in the grand scheme of things when it comes to your life expectancy, at least. Look at Zach Bourne, Caden Ellis. Look at C.J. Garner-Johnson. Maybe it's coaching. And that Whodat Records is what I've been alluding to. That's the reason why when people are starting to put, like, different players up here on social media and talking about, oh, man, we doomed and they slow and all that kind of stuff, that is the reason why I'm just telling everybody, man, reserve your judgment. Like, it's fair to say that organizations let players down just as much as players let organizations down. The only difference is the organizations have the stroke to be able to control the narrative. I'm going to say that again. The organizations have the stroke to control the narrative. That's the reason why when most contract situations go down, everybody starts to point at the player and starts labeling them as selfish. And how can they be so selfish? And how can they be so, money hungry? All these different things, right? Because you got the media, you got, all of these different publications. You got that kind of going for you because you have the big wigs, the higher ups that want that access and want to maintain that, and they want to go along to get along in order for the organization to stay in their good graces. So they have that on their side. So all I know is when it comes to player development, why don't people blame these organizations the way that they blame these players? If your team is constantly picking in the top 5, how in God's name have the organization's fans, the fans of the team, how do they fall for that banana in the tailpipe? How do they fall for that Jedi mind trick? If your team hasn't made the postseason in 7 years, in the Saints case, in 4 seasons, how in God's name can we sit up here and start just blaming players alone for the ineptitude of the organization? Oh, this player right here, he a bust. Oh, I guess he ain't have what it takes to be everything that we needed him to be. Oh, he a bust. Get him up out my face. And your organization haven't made the playoffs since the Obama administration. All I'm saying is you have to keep it 100. You got to be real with yourself, man. A lot of these organizations are failing these players. When you go and you see Zach Bond thriving, you see Caden Ellis being a cog in the defensive wheel of the Falcons, when you see CJ Gardner-Johnson generating turnovers, when you see Trey Hendrickson leading the league in sacks, when you see these things happening away from the team that actually selected them with a draft pick, you have to say that those organizations have failed these players. We like to put it, we like to soften the blow by saying, well, it just didn't work out with the Saints organization. Nah. It's up to the Saints organization to understand and identify how that player will be able to fit that scheme and organization. Like, if we're sitting up here talking about the New Orleans Saints taking a linebacker who thrived in a 3-4 defense, but he's going to a 4-3, he thrived with his hand on the ground. You're trying to make him a weak side linebacker running sideline to sidelines. Like, how in God's name are we just sitting up here talking about this guy sucks? You're basically transforming a player into something that you want him to be versus him coming to the team being what he needs to be in other cases when teams select players. There's an issue. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that a lot of these players that we have given up on and washed our hands with, we need to give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, if they are still looking like slow, when you have a new coaching change, when you have a defense that's kind of suits your skill set and you still out here lacking, then maybe it's you. But when we see organizations cater to the strengths of players and it works out, it is hard pressed not to believe that maybe, just maybe, that the organization have failed the players. I just wish that we would be able to differentiate between the two, but in some cases, don't seem like we can. That's just a little food for thought for people out there. TJ, you think Trey should just take the $28 million Bengals offering, or should he hold out for that Myles Garrett money? Look, you bet on yourself, and that's what Trey Hendrickson did. Trey Hendrickson left the New Orleans Saints. He got a nice little deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. It was for somebody that was very, very promising. He was coming off a double-digit sack year for the New Orleans Saints. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had 13 and a half sacks, which is, once again, a mistake by the New Orleans Saints, looking at it as it was just an outlier instead of something that's reoccurring. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. Not this episode, but as time go on. 13 and a half sacks. He goes to the Cincinnati Bengals, gets a respectable contract, and exceeds what that contract entails. Let me tell y'all something, man. I know we like to count people money, especially when they make more money than us. But at the end of the day, if somebody tried to lowball you, and I don't care what it is, if you're going and you're putting in the work, you're putting in extra effort, you are thriving at your job. Your job is thriving because of you. It's rather your presentations. It's rather your charisma. It's rather the work ethic that you're putting into it. You are putting eyes on the business. And then all of a sudden they come to you and say, man, you've been doing a good job. Well, that's great. I appreciate that. But sometimes you're going to have to show a person how good of a job they're doing. If they are making the business better, in this case, when it comes to Trey Hendrickson, if he's making the organization better, his production is making the defense better. I've watched my fair share of Cincinnati Bengals games. Their defense is not very good. But Trey Hendrickson is a bright spot on that defense. At least you know that you're going to get a guy that is going to give you double-digit sacks. That gives you an opportunity to figure out what you're going to do at linebacker. Figure out what you're going to do in the secondary and other places that you may be lacking. At least you know that you have a pass rusher that can get the quarterback on the ground in Trey Hendrickson. Absolutely not is my answer. He shouldn't just take the money, because the fact is this man exceeded his contract. He led the league in sacks, and he wants to be paid accordingly. It's not like, oh, he had 5 sacks last year and then 17 this year. No, he had double-digit sacks the majority of the time that he has been with the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe he's been with them going into his 4th season. 3 out of those 4 years, he's had double-digit sacks. Last year, he had double-digit sacks. The year before, he had double-digit sacks. He exceeded what he did the year before. So that tells you he's on the uptick. So nobody, look, it's a tough situation to be in. I understand you ain't want to lose T. Higgins. I understand you ain't want to lose Jamar Chase. But guess what? In the process, you have a really good player on the defensive side of the football that demands max compensation. That man should not budge. That man should not just sit there idle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not sit there idle. He shouldn't just sit around and just allow this team to just play with his emotions, because as soon as Trey Hendrickson didn't live up to that contract, the first contract they give him, he'll be on the next thing smoking. So it's only right that the Cincinnati Bengals, one, find a way to pay this man his just due, or allow him to walk, which we know historically Cincinnati has not done. We know what happened with Carson Palmer. We've seen what happened with some of those other players in the past that they did not want to let go. So if you're not going to do right by the player, if you're not going to pay him his just due, allow him to test the free agent market. So no, he should not budge. As a matter of fact, if Trey Hendrickson is watching this, which I doubt he is, he'll be a fool to budge, because that's what they want him to do. They want all that great production. They want them double-digit sacks, and they want to pay this man the bare minimum. Nah, bruh. No way. Yeah, but Trey should have spoke up a lot sooner, because now Cincinnati got all kinds of money in 3 dudes. Yeah, look, but it shouldn't be up to him to just speak up. He let his play do the talking. And as a matter of fact, imagine this. Imagine this inevitable. Imagine how difficult the situation would have been. T. Higgins playing on a tag, right? He played on a tag the entire season last year. Now, one bad move, one injury, and this man, loses millions of dollars. It's kind of like what Isaiah Thomas was with the Boston Celtics. And y'all remember, like, short, Isaiah Thomas, I mean, he was leading the team and scoring. They were kept on lowballing this man, didn't want to pay him. He kept on going out there. And the next thing you know, he got seriously hurt. And then they just took all the money off the table. Teams will do that, right? They'll sit up there and tell you, man, we're going to do right by you. We're going to do right by you. They'll prolong the process. And then all of a sudden you get hurt. Then the next thing you know, they don't want to come to the table. He probably was looking at it like, man, look, I understand that Jamar needs his. I understand that T needs his. I'm going to let my play do the talking. And he probably didn't want to have any issues or have any problems with the organization. So he just went out there and did his thing. And he thought that the organization would do right by him, which they should. Because he gave them 17 sacks in a season. So I don't even think it's just about speaking up. It's about doing what's right. But as we can see, football is a very cutthroat business at times. It's cutthroat. These organizations are going to look out for the organization, no matter what these players, what type of numbers they put up, how many touchdowns, how many interceptions, how many sacks. In the case of Trey Hendrickson, they are going to look out for the organization. The Cincinnati Bengals should do two things: pay this man or allow him to walk. And I think that Trey Hendrickson is doing the right thing by sitting at home and letting this organization realize that a Trey Hendrickson don't grow on trees. That production that he was giving them, I mean, I ain't seen too many players in the Cincinnati Bengals uniform on the front four putting up those type of numbers. I mean, they had Geno Atkins throughout the years, really good interior guy, was a cog, on that defensive wheel for a long time. But Geno Atkins haven't played for them in a very long time. And Trey Hendrickson has picked up that banner and he has run with it. And he is one of the best, not just the best player on their defense, one of the best defensive players in the entire NFL. You get the most of what you can get playing football. You don't never when you're going to play again. You never know when you're going to play again. I agree with that. You got to get what you can. Got to get what you can, man, because once again, the organizations are going to look out for the organization. Plain and simple. But let's stop right there, man, and talk a little bit about the quarterback competition. I'm pretty sure a lot of us have talked about this ad nauseum, probably at the barbershop, probably with friends on social media, on, group chats, what have you. We've been talking about this quarterback competition between Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler. No disrespect to Hunter Deckers, no disrespect to Jake Haener, but I don't feel like any of those guys, no pun intended, are in that number. It's between two guys. Everybody has been talking about Spencer Rattler, the jump from year one to year two, how much poise he looks like he has, the arm talent, the chemistry, the leadership roles, all those things that you want to hear. And then you hear about Tyler Shough, how he has come in, how he has ingratiated himself not only to the New Orleans culture, but doing the political thing as well. Like I don't want to call it political, but doing what is necessary, right? Going to your teammates, having those conversations, being able to communicate with the offense, having a command of the offense. Every practice, from what we've been hearing, every single practice, it seems like he gets better and better. And that's all you can ask for from a guy who is a second-round pick. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the competition, I was having a conversation with my mom on yesterday, and she asked me, she was like, who do you feel should be the starter? And my response was, I don't care. Like, I like both guys. Like, once Tyler Shough was drafted by the New Orleans Saints, I dug in to him because I really honestly didn't know that much about Tyler Shough. I seen him play a few times. Louisville football will probably be on in the background. Everybody knows, man, I don't just watch Saints football. I watch all football, man. I even cover Coastal Carolina. So I'm very familiar with college football. It's always on in the background, always got it on my television. So, but I had to really dig deep into him. And as far as his talent, his skill set, his ability, he checks all the boxes. So this is going to be a tough competition. I say this, and I'm going to continue to say it. If these guys are on an equal playing field, Tyler Shough will end up starting. The reason why I'm saying that is Spencer Rattler worked to get to this point. Tyler Shough came in at that point. So all I'm saying is when you think about the ceiling, you have to believe that Tyler Shough's ceiling is higher, because when you look at the start of Spencer Rattler's career, even though that offense, that team led by the no head coaching, Dennis Allen, did not do Spencer Rattler any favors. Maybe Kellen Moore is looking at it like, okay, everybody has a clean slate. We have seen this. I watched the 19-minute interview presser that they had with Kellen Moore on Thursday after OTA practice. He's saying all the right things, like everybody has a clean slate. He's not concerned about what guys did last year, 2 years ago. That has nothing to do with the way he feels about them. It holds no merit. I get all that. But at the same time, Tyler Shough is a guy that you personally selected. You went far and wide. You searched high and low. You went to all these different pro days, and Tyler Shough was the guy that you fell in love with. He was the guy that you selected. So you have to believe that he has a special place in the heart of Kellen Moore. Not to say that if Spencer Rattler goes out there and once again plays otherworldly or even exceeds the expectations of the Saints coaching staff as well as fans alike, then he will get the start. But I just think that everybody within the Saints organization, if they can be off record and you ask them who do they want to start, they're going to want Tyler Shough to start. They're trying to find reasons for Tyler Shough to start. Spencer Rattler is finding reasons and making reasons for Tyler Shough not to start. I know some of y'all wanted to be wrapped up in this nice little competition bowl, and it probably will be, but I doubt it. Football is a political business. I cannot stress this enough. Please, I know it was a while ago, but I still feel like the conversation I had with Rashad Matthews held weight because he talked about the politics. He talked about him going to the Miami Dolphins and how the Miami Dolphins just constantly, speaking of Louisville, pushed for Devontae Parker, who they drafted to be their guy. Even though Matthews was making play after play in practice, coming off a magical season, one of his best seasons as a pro. And they were just trying to push the issue of Devontae Parker. These teams want to be right. They want to be justified in their picks. They want to be justified by selecting guys, especially when they select them high. They want those guys to be on the field because they want to be proven right. You look at Spencer Rattler, 5th round draft pick number 150, has a lot of good qualities about himself. But at the end of the day, if Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler are neck and neck, Tyler Shough is going to start. And that's just something that some of you are going to have to wrap your head around. There's no way if that quarterback competition looks like or sounds like or is written like the Jake Haener Spencer Rattler competition, there's no way that Tyler Shough is starting. I mean, no way that Tyler Shough isn't starting over Spencer Rattler. No way. Until I'm proven otherwise, there's no way I believe that. They want Tyler Shough to work. If that's true, Hunter Decker and Jake Haener have a chance. We know that, like, sometimes you have to like kind of separate the validity from the bull-itery. You get what I'm saying? The validity from the bull-itery. You get what I'm saying? You got to be able to separate it. Some of the things that they have really have merit and validity behind it. But other cases, it's a bunch of lip service. And you got to be able to differentiate. You can't just always say, and I see people say this all the time, but I just, look, I got to say this also. How can you be so naive? They'll come to, like, when you come with like some type of hypothesis or some type of theory, they all of a sudden say, well, such and such said that he ain't playing, so he ain't playing. Like, bruh, do you understand it's about competition? Do you understand it's about not knowing, not the right hand, not knowing what the left hand is doing? Like, do you understand that? Do you understand it? Some people don't. Like, they really take everything that is said at face value. And it's always, from time to time, get proven wrong. And yet they still sitting up here believing. Like, I just don't get it, man. Sometimes you got to be able to read between the lines. You got to, once again, differentiate the validity from the bull-itery. And some people have not mastered that art just yet. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, of course, like, do you honestly believe that Hunter Deckers has just a good of a chance to be the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints than Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shough? If you believe that, I got some oceanfront apartments that are available to you in Boise, Idaho as we speak. Just email me about that. And Axel Bum says, I'm still mad about the Marcus Williams trade. Well, look, man, Marcus Williams, and when it comes down to the Saints historically, they just don't pay safeties. They just don't pay safeties. But maybe with a new defense, they'll start paying them. I mean, maybe they had, like, flashbacks about Jairus Byrd. I think Jairus Byrd may have left a bad taste in the mouth of the Saints front office. So they're like, man, I ain't never paying the safety. Shough will start just because he's the head coach's chosen pick. Unless Rattler destroys him performance-wise in the preseason, Tyler will start. Exactly. And that's what people need to wrap their little heads around. It has nothing to do with Spencer Rattler. It has nothing to do with me thinking that Tyler Shough is better than Spencer Rattler. And I have to say this because some people just feel like because I'm pushing this and saying this, oh, you don't like Spencer Rattler. Like 2 + 2, has to be 4 in a lot of, people cases. Like it can't be like, oh, I'm just observing based on like historical significance, stuff that is going on, is transpired throughout time. Nah, it can't be that. It's the fact that I don't like Spencer Rattler. Whatever. ATJ, if Jake becomes a future coach like you think, I actually think he would, with the right coaching staff, to learn from. Yeah, I think that he will be a coach in the future. I think that he will be a coordinator if he decides to do that. He's a very smart football player. He grasps things very, very quickly. Anybody and everybody that you talk to always talks about his football mind. And just listening to him, man, and watching him, it just shows me that dude is a very smart player. And he has head coaching in his future if he decides to do that. Plus, Spencer is a gym rat. The man been locked in since the offseason. He can be locked in as long as all he wants to. If Tyler Shough is on the same playing field or the same level, or if it's like, let's just say, if Spencer Rattler is on step 16 and Tyler Shough is on 15, Tyler Shough starting. Y'all can try to talk y'all way into believing that if y'all want to. Y'all can talk about all the work that he put in, and that's great. If Tyler Shough is equal or equivalent to, or if the Saints just feel like, man, and okay, and he has this right now, but by week 3, he should be okay. He's starting over Spencer Rattler. I don't care. Look, that's just the game, folks. That's just the game. It ain't about what you want. It's about these organizations proving they're right about their assessments and their takes and their selections. You do not draft a guy in the second round and don't want him to start, or like give him the ample opportunities to start. TJ Mickey wants Shough to start. I feel like it should be a competition. I don't believe it is. Look, it should be a competition. It is a competition. I'm not saying that it's not. Hear me out. Listen to what I'm saying. It is a competition. But if the competition ends in a wash, Tyler Shough is starting. Spencer Rattler has to be virtually otherworldly. He has to be undeniable. It has to be a landslide. It has to be a butt whooping. It has to be a first round knockout, so to speak. Like, he has to be able to control the entire fight. If it's going to decision, he better be a unanimous decision. This is why I want people to understand. Like, it has nothing to do with the competition. Like, it is a competition. Don't get me wrong. Spencer Rattler is out there fighting for a starting spot. Tyler Shough is fighting for a starting spot. But if it ends in a wash, Tyler Shough is starting. I want you to wrap your head around that, folks. That is happening. Now, if we go into preseason training camp and then Spencer Rattler just out there dominating, I think we got our answer. But if guys are like this, neck and neck, man, get ready for the Tyler Shough. Get ready for the Tyler Shough. We'll be starting week 1 headline. Taysom can replicate the Eagles quarterback for sure. Yeah, I mean, he definitely can. Let's see. Strolling down says, TJ funny. He just looks like a Coach Jake. I mean, he looked like, man, ain't the fact that he looked like a coach to me. He just, I mean, he seems like a guy that, man, he's hella competitive. Like, you can tell. Like, he's hella competitive. He wants to succeed in everything that he does. Like some guys, they do as much as they can. They try as hard as they can, but they they're just not going to beat out those extraordinary guys, and he has talent, he has ability, he has skills, but I mean, he's not beating out Tyler Shough. He's not beating out Spencer Rattler in most cases. Like in practice, yeah. But when you have those live rounds, man, you got to go out there and make them plays, man. They acting like Shough isn't putting the work in too. Yeah, I mean, they both putting in the work. Let the best man win. Jake, straight trash. Even his team photo was an L. I don't think he's trash, man. I don't think he's trash. Man, it's like somebody that knows all. I use this all the time. It's like somebody that knows the answers to the test. Like study, know it, all this stuff. Like I'm about to ace this test. Then all of a sudden, like they get in the classroom and they think about the magnitude of the test. Oh man, if I don't get an A on this, man, then that's gonna drop my GPA. Like, and all of a sudden, like you just start to forget everything that you like studied, everything that you absorbed, because you're thinking about what the consequences are if you don't perform well. And it feels that way. It feels like, he looked at it like, man, it's my opportunity to start. Oh man, I'm ready. Yeah, man. He had a good week of practice, and all of a sudden you're thinking about, oh, that first throw didn't go that way. Oh man, look at the crowd. They won't Rattler. Like I don't know. I don't know if that's the case or not. But it's like something goes off in the back of his head where you can tell like he's not sure about himself and everything that he knows. Like he knows that this guy is going to be right here. He knows that the defense is going to cheat up in this situation. He knows like the pressure is coming from this way. He knows it. But then all of a sudden, like I said, you get into those situations and you out there on the battlefield, it's a completely different beast, man. Like we can talk about all the things that these players aren't doing, but shoot, man, somebody flying at you going about 19, 20 miles per hour, like it's a completely different beast, man. I don't think he trash though. Trash is if you don't have the ability whatsoever to do what you should do, but I think he has talent, man. I just think that he's in his own head. Like he's his own worst enemy, if you ask me. Will he ever just be a solid starter in the National Football League? No, I don't believe that. But he has the skills to stay in the National Football League, like being a serviceable backup, serviceable backup. He can be, a Easton Stick. He can be a guy that's been, that goes around and, be a backup quarterback and come in and provide. Like if he just kind of settles down and starts to just believe in himself, man, believe in the work that he put in during the week. Everybody's not going to be a starting quarterback in the league, man, but that don't mean that the guy don't deserve to be in the National Football League. Teams have backups for a reason, man. TJ, do you think Shough is a talented quarterback? Absolutely. Yes, Tyler Shough is talented. He's smart. He can make some really good throws. He can make a lot of throws that these professional football players, these starting quarterbacks can make. It's not a matter of if he got talent. It's the matter of can he be a constant starter in the National Football League? The statistics, the analytics are against him. Most second-round picks don't work out in the National Football League. You have some that you can name throughout time that have been second-round picks, that have been serviceable quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks, superstar quarterbacks, franchise quarterbacks, and Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, even MVPs, MVP candidates. So, can he fall into one of those categories? But you got to ask yourself, what do you want Tyler Shough? Like, are you looking at Tyler Shough? If Tyler Shough, being a second-round pick number 40, is a franchise quarterback, has the Saints going to the playoffs, more years as a starter than not. Let's just say he knocks on the door a couple of times, don't make it to the promised land. Is that a successful career? In my opinion, yes, based on his position, because most second-round picks don't get to that point. If Tyler Shough leads the New Orleans Saints to the Super Bowl one year or a couple times throughout his starting career, then he exceeded expectations based on what history has taught you about second round picks, right? I mean, there's only it's very rare air. I mean, you think about some second round picks that have been great. I mean, Drew Brees, second round pick. Jalen Hurts was a second round pick. Derek Carr was a second round pick, but he was a franchise quarterback the majority of his career. Didn't win nothing. Andy Dalton was a second round pick, franchise quarterback majority of his career. Never won nothing, but was a serviceable quarterback. So what do we want? Like, what would make Tyler Shough be, I guess, put into the history books among Saints fans as one of the best? Making the playoffs a couple of times, winning some games that he shouldn't, maybe getting a deep playoff run. I mean, what are we asking for? I'm not looking at Tyler Shough as a savior. Like, Tyler Shough, if Tyler Shough comes in and gives you steady quarterback play, being drafted in the second round, that is a plus. See, we looking at it like, okay, the Saints haven't drafted a quarterback this high since 71, but he's still not a first round draft pick. Still, you still didn't draft him like you did Josh Allen. You still didn't draft him like you did Mahomes. You still didn't draft him like you did Baker or some of these other quarterbacks that are out here, Joe Burrow. You didn't draft him like that. Like, he's a high draft pick in the history books, like when it comes to quarterbacks for the Saints. But being a second round pick as a quarterback on other teams, you might be successful, you might not. It's a coin toss. We're looking at it from historical significance when it comes to the Saints. He's like a first round draft pick to the Saints fans because, once again, Archie Manning was the last first round pick at quarterback that the Saints selected back in 71. The Taysom run was fun, but it's time to move on. Use that money elsewhere and get production from your other players listed in the position he plays. Yeah, I mean, it was great, and he still can make some plays. But I just think that the days of him just being the main cog on the wheel, I just think that those days are over. And I think that you need to adjust accordingly. Like, I'm not like, I feel this. I mean, based on what the Saints salary issue is looking like now, over the cap, got some money to blow. Got Taysom Hill on your team. If Taysom can come in and do some Debo Samuel type stuff, line him up in the backfield, maybe catch a pass or something like that, that's cool. But the way that Clint Kubiak was using Taysom Hill, like, basically just like he was the featured guy, using him like he was Christian McCaffrey or something, like, those days over, man. You got to be able to utilize some of these young guys. That's what the Olaves and the Shahis and hopefully the Devin Neals and all those guys are for you to be able to utilize them, and other tight ends, like Jawan Johnson, Foster Monroe, Leaking Matavov, like, I don't know if he's going to make the team or not, but those are the guys that you need to be focused on, man, trying to get those guys active. But Taysom Hill will definitely always be a secret weapon because of what he can actually bring. As a matter of fact, if you use him less, is more threatening, right? Because there's less wear and tear on him constantly, and it confuses the defense. Like, if you keep bringing him out there and in different ways all the time, knowing that he has this injury history, knowing he's 35 years old, like, come on, man. Like, you're not doing a service to him. It was pure desperation mode last season for the Saints offensively. So when Taysom got back, whoa, Taysom, oh man, we're so glad to see you. Oh man, we got a package. We got a package for you over here. We got a package for you over here. They're just so excited because, man, finally somebody's gonna make a play, and they know. but they ran that man basically into the ground last season. Keep in mind, this is a quarterback who is, playing all these different positions. Yeah, he's a great athlete. He's built like a tank, but at the end of the day, he's still a quarterback playing all these different positions. So Shough holds the ball too long. I mean, hopefully that's something that he can get away from. And he's not really mobile. Nah, Shough Sanders not mobile. I don't know if we're talking about Shough Sanders or Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough isn't looking to run, but he can run if necessary. First round, second round, fourth round, undrafted, it doesn't matter. If you got Tom Brady on the bench, he will eventually play. That is true, but you mentioned one of the greatest outliers of all time. Tom Brady is an outlier. Like we got to be careful with that Whodat records. That's a good point, but we got to be careful. What we do is we take outliers and we make them exceptions. I mean, we make it an exception to the rule, and that's not the case. What makes Tom Brady so special is the fact that he did something at pick 199 that no other player has done. What Brock Purdy has done, getting that contract extension. Congratulations to him. Being Mr. Irrelevant, but being the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, going to the Super Bowl at Mr. Irrelevant, that's an outlier. Guys lasting as long as starting quarterback, being a fourth round pick, and Dak Prescott for the Dallas Cowboys getting multiple paydays, that's an outlier. Russell Wilson, wasn't even supposed to be the starter. As a matter of fact, Matt Flynn was supposed to be the starter of the Seattle Seahawks. Him going on to being a franchise quarterback, being a third round pick, that's an outlier. These are outliers. Now, that's something that you can grab and gain motivation from. When you look at Jalen Hurts winning Super Bowl MVP as a second round draft pick, you can gain motivation from that. But make no mistake about it, that is an outlier. That is an anomaly, what we actually see. And that's the reason why I want people to sometimes take a moment to appreciate greatness when you're looking at it. You don't sometimes appreciate how great something is in real time because you're actually just seeing it. And in some cases, we take it for granted. But when the story is written about said player and we see that it's so difficult for any player to come through and try to replicate that. For example, our very own starting quarterback throughout 15 years, Drew Brees. Drew Brees was an outlier. He is the greatest quarterback in New Orleans Saints history, hands down. Not only that, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the freaking game. A lot of us, in some cases, kind of took him for granted. And when he retired, we kind of felt like, man, we're going to be all right. And the Saints haven't been all right going into 5 seasons. Drew Brees, at the end of this season, is going to the Hall of Fame. I ain't going to say he's going to be eligible. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And the Saints have yet to find his replacement. Greatness is sometimes, look past. Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, these are outliers that when it's all said and done, and you start to see the NFL just constantly start rolling along, and those guys get further and further and further and further away from the times that they played, you will start appreciating what you're actually seeing in real time. But I do agree with what you're saying, Whodat Records. Give an opportunity. Take advantage of the opportunity. Stars can indeed be born. You build on some of the motivation that you've seen from years past, and you try to apply that, and maybe you can be the next Tom Brady. Maybe you can be the next Brock Purdy or Dak or Russell or Jalen Hurts. I mean, we're hoping that for Tyler Shough. Hopefully he could possibly become that Jalen Hurts, where he can figure it out to a point where he can be leading the Saints to double-digit wins, playoff appearances, Super Bowl appearances. That would be great. And it also would be a testament to him. And also, he'll find himself in the history books because not too many second-round quarterbacks would do what he has done, if he can get it done. We all know Brady was great, but he also never played with a defense ranked lower than 8th in any of his Super Bowl winning years. Football is a team sport. That is true. But at the same time, we've seen Tom Brady elevate players around him. We have seen Tom Brady bring players that had no business being as good as they were, probably wouldn't be as good as they were if they weren't in that, in that Brady-led offense. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Deion Branch. Like these dudes, like Deion Branch made a lot of money and was a staple in Seattle from his time playing alongside Tom Brady. Like we talk about, like, it is a team sport. Inevitable, great point. Football is a team sport. We know this from personal experience. Well, we'll see a quarterback like Joe Burrow throw for 4 touchdowns, and then all of a sudden his defense, the last line of defense, and they give up a big score towards the end of the game and they lose, right? Is it Joe Burrow's fault they lost? Absolutely not. The defense gave up on him, and probably if he had the ball last, they probably would have won the football game. So yes, it is a team sport. But also, what makes great quarterbacks great, in my opinion, that they elevate players around them. To me, a quarterback that comes in with unheralded supporting cast always gets the notch over some of these other quarterbacks that we say are great, but always has some really good players around him. How did they elevate those players? We seen Drew Brees elevate players, Tom Brady elevate players, Peyton Manning elevate players. We seen, some of these quarterbacks that we hold near and dear, they elevate players around them. That is the testament of true greatness at the quarterback position. But with all that said, I mean, it didn't hurt having a defense that can be able to close a game out. And also, if you're not playing your best, to be able to step in and make some plays. So yes, I do agree with that. But, sometimes, it's better to be lucky than good. But he was good more times than he was lucky. Those guys are just hard to find, period. Yeah, they hard to find. And that's why teams, constantly burn the midnight oil. That's the reason why they try to get these scouts, and that's the reason why they watch all this tape. They try to find the right guys. Hopefully the New Orleans Saints feel they got the right guys. Hopefully these 9 draft picks that they had can be able for the Saints to finally be able to turn the page and get themselves back on the winning track. We've seen what a couple draft picks can do for an organization. Look at the Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jameer Gibbs, Aiden Hutchinson, like guys like that they drafted, Jack Campbell, Terrion Arnold, bringing in guys that make a difference. Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, right? Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean on the Philadelphia Eagles team. You hitting this draft, man, you get yourself some good players. You surround them with some veterans that been there before, and maybe a free agent or two that's a missing piece on your team, and you'll have yourself some success, if you're drafting well. Take a few more, then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. It says, will happen to the Chiefs when Mahomes retire? They will suck. Well, I think it's a combination between Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I think that this is a Breeze Peyton type combination they got going on here. So he definitely thrives because Andy Reid, Andy Reid, I don't want to say he salvaged his career, but he legitimized his career because of Patrick Mahomes. Like, Andy Reid has always been a great coach. Like, look at his history with Philadelphia. They was in the NFC Championship game almost every year. Went to the Super Bowl that year, when T.O. was playing with that ankle injury with McNabb. He's always been flirting with prosperity. He just could never get over that hump. And then all of a sudden, in 2017, in comes Patrick Mahomes, and, finally, it's like somebody hanging off that cliff, right? and they gather themselves, and then all of a sudden they find the strength to get themselves up that mountain to plant their flag. I mean, Andy Reid has been hanging off that mountain for a long time, man. And when Patrick Mahomes came through, that's when he was able to stamp that flag. He really legitimized himself. Like, to me, if he wouldn't have won a Super Bowl, if he would have never found Patrick Mahomes, he still would have went to the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, because he's always been a good coach. But having Patrick Mahomes left no doubt that he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. You can have the chess pieces, but if the chess players is Dennis Allen, you will still lose. Exactly. You gotta have the right guy. You gotta have the right leader, man. You gotta have a leader of men. You gotta have a guy that's cerebral. You gotta have a guy that's a tactician. You gotta have a guy that can build something that gives players something to believe in. You don't have to be rah-rah saying, man, we're gonna go out here and win one for the Gipper. You ain't gotta be that guy. But you definitely got to command respect, whether it's a guy like Kellen Moore, who is not very boisterous, but a guy who has been in the foxhole, who understands what it takes to go to war, who had the backpack on, right? Who had the bayonet in his hand. He was out there. He was in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? He might not have came away with a bunch of Purple Hearts and medal, you know what I'm saying, and Medal of Honor and all that kind of stuff going on and fully decorated. But at the end of the day, he was out there, and he can tell his war stories. And if you have a war story to tell, don't matter how big or how small the war story may be, the fact is people are going to be fascinated that you went to war. If you know what you're doing, right? If you can teach and you can get these guys to buy in, which it seems like Kellen Moore has gotten these guys to buy in, then that's only half the battle. Now, you got to put in the work. You got to be able to understand certain situations. Situational football, to me, makes or breaks a coach. What are you doing in crucial situations? 3rd and 1, minute left. That team has no timeouts. We need this first down in order for us to get it, to get this win. How are we approaching that? How are we approaching time management? How are we approaching substitution? All of that stuff matters. Players pay attention to every single thing that you do. And they're always watching to see if they got the right guy leading them or they feel like they are leading themselves. So we'll see. The jury's still out on Kellen Moore. He's doing all the right things, saying all the right things. Seems like the team likes him. Seems like he's allowing guys to be themselves, which I think that will benefit him. But you got to play the games, man. Got to play the game. But before I go, first off, I want to say thank you all. Hope that you hit the subscribe button. But I am happy to announce that coming soon, we'll be in the next couple of weeks, we will be starting a brand new podcast entitled The State of the NFL Podcast. Man, it's been a little bit of a journey over the last couple of months. You probably was wondering, like some of the shows have been kind of, sporadic. And, I really honestly have been trying to figure out what's the next move for me when it comes to this podcasting world. Like, I've been doing State of the Saints since 2018, and I've grown this channel to a point where I'm really proud of the work that was put in. A lot of hard work, a lot of tireless, sleepless nights in order to create content for people to enjoy. But I don't want to put a cap on myself. I love my hometown team. I will continue to support my hometown team, but I also don't want to put a cap on myself. At the end of the day, broadcasting has always been my passion. Creating content has always been my passion. And, you always want to be able to try to open doors for you. You always want to be able to create opportunities for yourself. That's the reason how I was able to go to the Senior Bowl and NFL Combine over the last couple of years and getting the opportunities by being fearless and not being afraid to wonder what the next chapter is. I've really put a lot of work in. And if you've been watching these shows from the beginning, you'll see. And I'll do the same thing for the State of the NFL. It's going to be a little different than the shows that we have here. It's going to be a little bit different. Going to be doing more reaction shows. We're going to be doing, shows kind of similar to this format, but won't really be talking just about the New Orleans Saints. So if you like the NFL, if you like talking football, if you like discussing different topics pertaining to football, then the State of the NFL will be the channel for you. Once again, I don't want to put a cap on myself, and also want to be known as a guy that legitimately gives his all and is appreciated and valued for the work that I put in. And I don't want to be put in a box, because I don't think I need to be in a box. I think that my work speaks for itself, regardless to if people have a certain perception about me or what they think about me. I put in a lot of work. I like to believe that I'm, one of the, best content creators out there. I like to believe that. So, and I'm going to show it, as I try to build the State of the NFL channel. So I got the link in the description for the State of the NFL. So for those that are not subscribed, basically it's the, Gumbo Pod channel switched over. So if you're not subscribed to it, the Gumbo Pod channel, I said that before, and then I started to go back to doing live streams over there on both platforms. But now you're going to get exclusive State of the NFL podcast. No more State of the Saints will be on the Gumbo Pod channel at all. So that's going to start in the next couple of weeks. Getting prepared for that, changing some things around. Like I said, once again, I think that you all are going to enjoy it. If you like sports, if you like football, you're going to like that channel. All right. So make sure that you check it out. State of the NFL coming soon. All right. But before we get up out of here, first off, I want to say thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. You can follow me on X at TJAYJones8. You can also check out Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones every Wednesday, 7 p.m. on the Bleacher Report. But, I think a lot of us are just, kind of going through the motions when it comes to the New Orleans Saints, right? We're going through the motions when it comes to this team. Like we don't know what the expectations are. We don't know how many games the New Orleans Saints are going to win. We don't know any of those things, right? The only thing that we feel that, there's change on the horizon, all right? And there's only one thing that we just want to know week to week, and that is, are we winning? Whodat Nation, I know what you're thinking. The only thing you want to know is, are we winning tonight?
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 Yeah. You know what's up. Whodat Nation, put your hands up. Hey, they put car on a repo truck. Whole city not giving a shuck. It's time to turn this thing up. Now that homie is long gone, it's time for the Saints to go and march on. With players you can trust, bruh. Coaches who ain't lame duck, and QB competition between some hungry young bugs.
And I don't know how many games they'll win, as long as they'll finish 7-10 or 0-17. That would be a shame.
Already ain't got no primetime game. Are we winning tonight against the Falcons?
Are we winning tonight?
Are we winning tonight against the Bucks?
Are we winning tonight?
Are we winning tonight against the Pants?
Are we winning tonight?
Are we winning tonight?
Are we winning tonight?
Against the Patriots? Are we winning tonight?
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 Are we winning tonight against the Jets at home?
Are we winning tonight?
Beat the Bears. Are we winning tonight?
Are we winning tonight?
What about the Titans?
Are we winning tonight?
That's all we want to know, man. We just want to know, are we gonna win? And hopefully they do a lot of it. But once again, I really do appreciate it. To answer your question, Uncle Deuce, yes, we still will be doing the State of the Saints podcast. All right. Probably are not going to be doing as many episodes per week, but we're still going to be doing the State of the Saints podcast. Still going to be over here. But, definitely going to try to grow that State of the NFL channel. So, like I said, man, we're going to have a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a little bit different than what we have built over here, but pretty much the same. It's not like I'm going to be neglecting the chat or not, open up phone lines. It's just going to create a different space for more NFL fans to be a part of the channel and a part of the content. All right. So really do appreciate you all. Much love to you. Till next time, all I got to say is, Whodat.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I got to say is, Whodat.